introduce yourself deeper than I have done. Welcome.
Thank you very much. To all of you listening, I think in the USA, Canada, it is a good afternoon. In Australia, it is 6 in the morning here in Sydney. So good morning in Australia and Asia. I will remember next time to charge you for the breakfast if you wake me up so early. Don't worry, my wake-up time is usually 5 a.m. anyway, so you didn't do anything wrong. And in Africa, it's now good evening. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day to all of you.
We are all covered.
As you've already heard, there is supposed, and I use that word very carefully, supposed to be an election next year in Uganda. We go into the logistics of this because the elections in Uganda are not what are known as elections in many countries. However, a lot has been going on, and over the years I've been approached by many people to go back to Uganda. Because of time, we don't have time to discuss the preamble to all this, but suffices to say that I accepted to go back to Uganda and to lead the country. And this is some time back now, a few years. Now, this is not a mean task, particularly if you're trying to dislodge a dictator. Not just a dictator, but a brutal dictator like Yoweri Museveni. I had to think very carefully. And over the last year or two, I devised a means of getting on the ground in Uganda with my supporters, and we thought that under the prevailing circumstances, we should do an underground campaign, but a peaceful underground campaign, which did not break any law. And I want to emphasize that. It did not break any law. On the first of it was a very simple idea. I printed cards with the name of the organization under my name, a telephone number, and a website. And up to now, we have distributed in excess of 1.5 million business cards.
Wow.
This does not break any law. Now, these cards in Uganda, not worldwide, but in Uganda. This was done on a person-to-person basis. You meet somebody, you greet him, you talk to him, you tell him about the election, you tell him about Dr. Kiyingi. If he's agreeable, you give him a card. Now, in Uganda law now, I think if you're more than 3 people or 4 people, you need permission. Potentially, you need permission from the chief of police. So we never broke any law. There were not 3 or 4. There are 2 people. And these, in any country, pre-marketing campaigns are carried out all the time. So this could be labeled a pre-marketing campaign, announcing that I'll stand in 2016 and telling the people this is the platform we're going to use, and this platform is going to be officially registered and launched in Uganda at a particular time. Now, as you know, Museveni has spent a lot of money spying on Ugandans rather than developmental issues, and I'm sure this will come up later on. It didn't take him very long to get to know that many people are getting these cards, and probably some of the cards we gave to his people. And they started hunting down and trying to find out, how do these cards get into the country? It took them a long time, but at the end of last year, I told my people that I intended to go to Uganda either end of February or this month, March. This got into the ears of Museveni and his henchmen. They were very scared. And if you went to Kapchora, there were cards there. If you went to West Nile, there were cards there. If you went to Mbarara, his hometown, there were cards there. If you went to Bali, there were cards there. And he was baffled. He went crazy. Kaihura was almost fired for not finding out what was happening. And this is true. He was almost fired. But finally, they got to my chief mobilizer, Aisha Nakasibante, who was the one who received the cards when they got in the country. And how they got in the country is my business, and it's not for this talk show.
Exactly.
That's right. But legally got into the country. So we didn't dodge any taxes or anything. And business cards are not taxable in Uganda. So but we didn't break any law. They got her. They abducted her, they beat her up, as you've already had the introduction, sexually molested her, drafted the documents for her to sign in return for her freedom, which of course she refused. She said, look, I'm not going to sign a fake document. She's currently in Luzira, and some of you know the conditions in Luzira. Many others have been arrested. Many have been killed. Her driver, up to 2 days ago, was incarcerated in one of the safe houses in Kireka and beaten without charge over 4 or 5 weeks without charge. I got a legal team and I put this on the website within the next 48 hours, which petitioned the court to say that the driver, Asadu Semogerere, was detained illegally. The court on Thursday evening granted an order for the release of Asadu Semogerere. Now, before, that was around 4:30 p.m. And this is how Museveni works. 4:30 p.m. on Thursday, the court granted an order instructing the people in the Kireka safe house to release Asadu Semogerere. However, by the time they got to Kireka, that is within 1 hour or so, Asadu had been charged, miraculously charged, after 5 weeks in detention. Then the government charged him, and he's now in Luzira. So in order to avoid to release him, they charged him really after the order of release had been signed by a court in Kampala. So he's now been taken to Luzira prison. This is Uganda. Now, these cards, let's go back to the cards. They've been a very, very effective campaign. In fact, I was telling a friend of mine that when we go to Karamoja, or when my people go to Karamoja, they were almost beaten. They almost chased away. And they wondered, what's happening? Do the Karamoja, are they happy? They don't want a change? But no, the reason they were being chased away and beaten was that they asked them, where have you been all this time? This is what we've been waiting for. What made you take so long? So, so they were being heard because they took so long to take the step. This is how Uganda is now. We've penetrated the whole country. Everybody's happy. Most people are on board, and they're just waiting on what is going to happen next. Now, Mr. Museveni being a coward, and I call him a coward. You see, even in school and worldwide, anybody who's a bully is a coward. Because he's a coward, he's scared. If he's not scared, let him dare that I go and stand. But he's scared. And therefore, he's arrested all my supporters, or he's trying to, and he has now brought up fallacious charges against me to block me from going to Uganda. So that gives him an excuse. As soon as I landed in Entebbe, he arrests me because I'm being charged by court on terrorism charges and murder charges. Now, this is absolute nonsense, and we are going to resist this type of intimidation. I want to tell all of you who are listening here, you cannot do anything against Museveni if you are intimidated. And I, for one, I am not scared of Museveni. I'm not intimidated by Museveni. If anything, the more he does this, the stronger I become. And I want to urge all of you who love Uganda, or profess to love Uganda, and those friends of Uganda, that this is the time. We don't have much time. In the medical languages, since I was introduced as a doctor, you could equate this to a very malignant cancer. Now, if you don't cut off the leg, the rest of the body dies. Now, we've reached that critical stage. This malignant cancer must be ripped out, and very, very quickly too. If you recall, and I'll speak for another 3-4 minutes and then I'll open up. I was given 10 minutes. I said supposed elections. The reason is that the elections in Uganda have become a joke. This man has flouted, all norms of democratic principles. He's cheated left, right, and center. He's beaten up people at polling posts. He's imprisoned and charged opponents. I'm not the first one. Kizza Besigye was slapped with rape charges some years ago when he was standing against Museveni. The Electoral Commission is like really backroom group door rule for Museveni, and he does what he wants. They announce what he wants. He has already rigged the elections for next year. On another occasion, I'll let you know why I'm telling you this. We have evidence already that he has already rigged the 2016 elections. And then many people are going to say, well, why are you doing that anyway? The reason is if we give in now, then there will never be a change in Uganda. We cannot afford this. And history is going to judge us very, very harshly if we do. So, if elections are a sham, and if he can stop elections anytime, or beat up opponents, or arrest them, or now he's trying to say he wants to arrest me, he's very welcome. But let me tell you, he'd have to arrest the 1.5 million, or now 5 million Ugandans. They are so determined and so prepared. He arrests me, the 5 million are going to stand up. Finally, before I leave the platform for you to ask questions, this is very important. Do we have any other avenue if he's going to cheat in elections? The answer is yes, we do have avenue. Under the Constitution of Uganda, which Mr. Museveni made, mind you, it empowers the people of Uganda to effect a change in the government if the president abrogates or compromises or breaks the Constitution. And there are avenues for this. The first avenue is to have the parliament impeach the president. But as you know, this is a rubber stamp parliament. It's not going to impeach the president.
Yeah.
However, there is a second avenue after that. The people themselves can then change the government. Therefore, we have a mandate now. If this man blocks me from going to Uganda, if this man continues to harass my supporters, if this man refuses to change the Electoral Commission, if this man refuses to put a fair playground for a true and honest election, then the people of Uganda are empowered by the Constitution to effect a change. And I could quote you at least 20 articles that Museveni has broken under the Constitution. If you allow me, I'll list a few. Mr. Museveni has completely ignored the Constitution when he failed to execute and maintain the Constitution and all laws made under or contained in force by the Constitution, thereby breaking Article 99, Part 2. He failed to uphold, abide, and safeguard the Constitution and the laws of Uganda, and to promote the welfare of the citizens and protect the territorial integrity of Uganda, thereby breaking Article 99, Part 3. He grossly failed to protect the personal liberty of the citizens, for example, by denying them the right to work and detaining them in the so-called safe houses. Article 23, Part 2. He denied the citizens protection of right to life by ruthlessly shooting innocent unarmed citizens. I'll come to this. And about 12 students have been killed in the last 5 days, including children and pregnant women, instigating terror groups of killers using iron bars, and organizing deliberate burning down of schools, markets, burial sites with fatal consequences. And here he broke Article 22 of the Constitution. He failed to protect the citizens from inhuman treatment and disrespected their human dignity when he ruthlessly used the police under his direct command to inhumanly beat and torture unarmed and peacefully demonstrating opposition and civil society organizations who are trying to express their opinions about the sorry state of the nation. Here he broke Article 24 of the Constitution. He denied the citizen the right to privacy of person, home, or other property by unjustified and unconstitutional tapping of telephones and opening of mail. He broke Article 27 of the Constitution. He denied the citizens the freedom of assembly and association, restriction of meetings, stopping peaceful walk to work, prohibition of address systems. He failed to protect the freedom of movement, illegal confinement of opposition groups, and so on, thereby breaking Article 29. He failed to protect the environment for the common good of Ugandans, and used his position for material gain when he dished out, and still does, or tried to dish out forest reserves, national parks, and game reserves to the so-called investors. And here, of course, everybody knows about Sese Islands and Mabera Forest. He did this as if it was his personal property, whereas the government holds such places in a trust for the people. Here he broke Article 237 of the Uganda Constitution. He conducted himself in a manner which brought the office of the president into hatred, ridicule, contempt, and disrepute, when he publicly told the citizens that he did not mind or care the high prices, which meant that he didn't care at all, when he callously told the Owino market vendors to look for an alternative place and leave the city when their market was ruthlessly burnt down by government agents, mind you, and when he publicly declared war on the honest and forward-looking Ugandans who opposed the giving away of Mabira Forest in order to safeguard future generations. Here he broke Article 107, Part B, Part 1. He dishonestly carried out the following acts, which were prejudicial and inimical to the economy and security of Uganda: taking over the oil fields as if it was his personal property, irate deals with bogus investors at the public expense, invasion and looting of the DRC, Congo, with consequent ruling against Uganda in the International Court for Uganda to compensate the DRC in billions of dollars. Here he broke Article 107, Part B, Part 2. He created a special class of untouchables with respect to law, security, payment of taxes, civil behavior, and corruption, thus discriminating against the majority of Ugandans. My dear friends, here he broke many articles. He repeatedly rigged elections at all state levels. He constantly bribed MPs, and he maintained a biased and non-independent electoral commission. Again here, he broke various articles. I'll quote just one more. He failed to govern Uganda based on the principles of national interest and common good, enshrined in the national objectives and directive principles of state policy. And here he broke Article 8A of the Uganda Constitution. Therefore, we have a mandate. We have a legal basis. Even under the Constitution, Museveni made himself to effect a change in Uganda.
Wow, thank you so much for that. And with that, we will allow Lawrence to go ahead with the first question that he had on board to ask you. Go ahead, Lawrence.
Yes, Dr. Kiyingi, thank you for what you have listed. And here comes my first question.